Check one, two. Let's make sure I am live and direct right now. Welcome everybody to the place to be. My name is D Wiz. We're going live right now with we're gonna talk about Kendrick versus Drake. This has been a feud that's been going on for a minute. And I want to bring somebody in that's been talking about hip hop on like an academic level for such a minute, for such a long time. I watch his 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 page on Instagram, on YouTube, here on Facebook as well. I'm gonna bring my boy in, Manny Faces. Peace, what's up, Mr. Manny? How you doing, Doctor?
Peace, my young old friend. How are you, sir?
Doing well, man. I'm enjoying hip hop, watching like yo,
Some things
Manny,
going on.
man.
If you like hip hop, it's an interesting time.
This is a lovely time for
Hmm.
me because all right, when this first started out, I was like, okay, good, another battle. So before we even get into this Kendrick and Drake thing, let's bring let's bring it back, going from like hip hop battles up into now, like literally, like some iconic ones, some famous ones, some infamous ones, some that like may have what they call ruined people's careers.
Hmm.
I mean, we've had like Ja Rule's. I mean, 50 Cent has been in more than one battle. Much more than Ja Rule. He
Sure.
battled like pretty much Fat Joe. They pieced it up. I mean, we can go back, Manny, all the way to when Treacherous 3 battled, and put
Right.
that ball when Curtis Blow, I mean when Kumo D said put that ball, did he shit on hold when he was talking to Busy B, you know what I'm
Right.
saying?
That's right.
So the hip hop battle is important, man. It's important to hip hop. I think the hip hop MC, after he was announcing the DJ, his
Hmm.
braggadocious flair and swag is what promoted the battle. Would you agree?
Yeah, I think so. I think even even the DJs themselves with their sound systems and the sound clashes, and having a better system. So I think even from the cornerstone, the DJ, respect it. Let's respect the DJ, sir. You know what I mean? As we do. Yeah, I think all of that was like really early. I mean, and then you hear people, stories of, and I don't know how much of this is, folklore, but there's obviously some truth to the fact that this was gang culture that was finding a new way to, find ways to relieve their tensions, and it ended up being, we're gonna dance it out, we're gonna rap it out, we're gonna, play music and sort of sound clash. So yeah, man. When you talk about battling, I've always felt, and I think most people, at least would say that it's been in the DNA since all the things that made hip hop kind of came together, in those days.
On
So
that note, Manny, I don't know if you watched. I actually had a really good conversation with DJ Bilal, um, and he spoke about he was there when Big Daddy Kane and
mm,
Rakim met for the first time. I don't know if you saw
I,
the.
I I think I did see that. Yeah.
And listen, his thing was this: Rakim is a battle MC. And we all saw, when Big Daddy Kane was saying, "Hey, I think the battle between Karis One and myself would be a better battle because he felt as though that Karis One is a battle MC, and Kane felt as though that
Oh, like on the
Rakim,
verses. You talking about when they did the verses?
yeah, when they did the
Yeah, yeah,
verses, right?
yeah.
So I was talking to DJ Bilal from Suffolk County, who has DJ pretty much for everyone out there. He's like, for me, he's like the branch. I mean, the tree which a lot of branches go out. That's been kind of like affiliated with a lot of Suffolk County rappers, hip hop, etc. So
Mm.
had a conversation with him and spoke to him about it. And what he said to me was, he said, "D, K Solo, Craig Mack,
Right.
Rakim, EPMD." He said everybody was a battle MC. You know,
Right.
period. He said
You, you
there
always
was
trying to be
no
the
such
nicest.
thing.
So you always trying to do the punchlines. You always want to be, flexing the skills.
Now, Manny, you used to
Listen,
MC. How do you feel about battling in hip hop?
I'm trying to remember, like, did I actually have like a battle? Like, you know what I mean? I always wrote like I was gonna battle somebody. Like we always wrote like early days of, matter of fact, you mentioned Kane, and I personally, I got my when I was trying to be a rapper, my rap style was modeled off of Kane, more so than like Ra or Coogee Rap or other folks who was, but Kane was sort of like the wordplay, the verbal, the linguistics,
Come on,
the
man.
gymnastics, the let it roll, get bold. I just can't hold back, folks. I'm a man with soul. Like that appealed to me. And I was trying to put as many words as I can together. But I don't know that I had like someone that, oh, we gonna battle. But I always wrote like I wanted to battle. So it was always like just to be the nicer MC, just to be the person with the better punchline. So that if you ever had to whip out a verse, on the block or in the schoolyard or wherever, where someone was like, yo, I'm gonna test your skills. I would always have like verses that had punchlines and were like battle worthy or battle ready.
That being said, so artistically and as an MC, was there a line that can or cannot be crossed from MC to MC? Was there an unspoken rule that you guys had?
I don't know. If you look at the, like I think if you go back, or I think obviously we look today because what the Drake and Kendrick thing has shown is that even more than Ether and Super Ugly and that anything's on the proverbial table, and we could discuss, obviously I'm sure we will, whether that's for better or for good. So it was always progressive, because I think that if you look at like the Cold Crush brothers, and it was just like, I'm dressed more fly, I got more money, I do, I guess I got more style, I got more girls. Then you see like the KRS Ones, where it's like Roxanne Shante is only good for steady, you know what I mean?
You know what I'm saying?
It's getting progressively like, harder over the years. And then they leaving condoms on the baby seat. Then, so it gets progressively more towing the line. But also, and I'll say this about a lot of hip hop, it mirrors society in a lot of ways, because throughout the years, we see that people got more rambunctious, and people were being more like, when Jerry Springer was out, people just wilding out more, and there was more things being said. It was more part of our culture. And so that's going to spill into popular culture, AKA hip hop. So I expect that that's just kind of not a trait of hip hop, but sort of a trait of humanity, over the years. So,
evolution.
I never answered your question, but, to say, is there a line to cross? I don't know that there's.
Okay.
I don't know.
So let's just take it for example. Let's draw a hypothetical.
Sure.
Back 88. What was your MC name, Manny?
Oh God, 88.
Because you were rapping in 88.
Yeah, eventually it was Schizophrenic, but I don't know if it was Schizophrenic then. But it might have been
MC Skits, okay?
something like that. Schizophrenic. I was trying to do a whole, different personalities. I had different voices. It was like be like a one-man Wu-Tang Clan. It was a whole thing.
Right. Okay. So you're battling after school, right?
Sure. Yeah. Or collaboratively, like battling but friendly. Like I'd have some.
I'm going to draw something out.
Yeah. Okay. Right on.
And mama jokes, or are mama lines allowed to be put? Would you put a mama line back then in a battle? Let's start there.
I remember we did it when we were like playing at dozens, like, like sparring, making jokes, like, because that was always something we did. So me and a couple of MCs, we would sometimes do that.
You did it sometimes, and sometimes you didn't with certain cats.
I guess you had to be, yeah. I guess that you had to be, so that's the thing that hip hop teaches you: social and emotional intelligence, as they say now. The psychology in hip hop. That's why psychologists be like, no, we learn a lot. We learn from verbal cues and from body language, and when we're towing a line that we shouldn't be towing, and so we'll learn from that, maybe back off. So yeah, it depends on who you're rocking with. If you're going against somebody, yeah, there's always that threat. There's always that possibility of, and maybe not, maybe that's different then because we were literally probably face to face and anything could pop off, right?
Exactly.
Later in life, when it's on record, there's a little bit of a buffer where you feel like, I'm going to put this song out and, I got a crew, they got a crew. We're never in the same place at the same time. So I'm talking about the big battles,
right.
Again, the KRS Ones and the, LL and Cannabis and, so I think that it got safer by not being in proximity. So it allowed people to get a little bit more out of pocket over the years because you weren't face to face. So I think, in the early days, you really needed to watch what you say in somebody's face because you say the wrong thing in your face and it could pop off because, there's that line that gets crossed.
So
I'd be cautious if it was face to face.
So on that, before we get into like really Kendrick and Drake,
Yeah.
outside of this battle, excluding this battle, what is your favorite hip hop battle, on or off record?
I mean, I guess probably, the cultural moment that was, Jay and Nas, and probably LL and Cannabis, which I just mentioned, obviously. But I think for a lot of reasons, those were like, I guess I don't want to say the pinnacle of rap beefs, like rap battles before, like Karis, like I said, like Karis One calling out the entire Queensbridge crew one by one. That's cool. Some of the stuff that you see in some of the battle rap wasn't a thing yet. It's probably those two. I think just at the time we were all caught up in it. It was a good battle in the sense of here's linguistics, here's style, here's beats. Like those two LL Cannabis, Jay and Nas were just they took over the moment. So I think I would be there wouldn't be anything else to me that was more, exciting rap battle than those two.
Manny, how do you feel about the LL and Cannabis battle? I want your opinion on that.
It's been a while. I know.
My opinion is not a popular one.
Tell me yours.
I think Cannabis ate him alive, line by line, metaphor for metaphor, everything for like.
I do too.
But that's not what the hip hop world.
That's not what wins the battle.
But why did the hip hop world give it to LL? Because
I
lyrics at that time still really did matter, which made Cannabis Cannabis. We wouldn't know, the hip hop world wouldn't know about Cannabis if it wasn't for that. He wasn't some sex symbol. He wasn't, it's not like he was
doing 100
wasn't
bars.
rocking flashy money
songs.
Right.
About metaphysical.
He didn't have dope videos.
Yeah.
We only know him from lyrics.
Yeah.
Only.
Yeah.
So it still mattered then. Why did
I
the
agree.
hip hop world give it to LL? I need to know this also. But as you're talking, I want to see if I have any comments.
Yeah.
Why did the hip hop world give it to LL?
And by the way, I didn't say in the beginning, thank you for having me on. It's a pleasure and honor to be, in space with you.
Thank you, sir.
I agree with you. I thought Cannabis won the battle, to be honest. I think he was a fierce, lyricist, fierce writer. His career or whatever maybe never came off or came back or came off from that, in part because of, I guess, being blackballed or being, shunned or whatever, but also like, he had problem with beat selection and didn't always, know how to make a song, but that's okay. A lot of battle rappers don't, you know what I mean? Like there's battle rappers from the battle rap scene that try to transition into being an artist, and they can't. It's a different mindset. It's a different, it's a different way of delivering.
But they both made battle records.
They did. Yeah. And LL could do both. That's what makes LL sort of in the pantheon of rap history.
Yeah.
Really, a legendary cat, because he could do both. He could do both. Now I thought at that his battle prowess had waned. I thought, right. But he still put up a fight. And I guess, it's like the time that they gave Denzel Washington the Oscar for Hurricane when he should have got it for Malcolm X. You know what I mean? Like it's like we're kind of giving you one. We're giving you one just on the Lifetime Achievement Award. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's what that's how I always looked at it. Like, LL had he had the machine behind him, and he had a fan base and years of support.
Of
and
being
so,
LL.
But I agree with you. I think I don't know how anyone can call it otherwise. But then again, I think Nas easily, kind of beat Jay, and there's people who will, argue that till they're blue in the face.
But not the hip hop world. The hip hop world gives it to Nas.
Maybe.
Well, the term is called "You Got Ether," so
that's why I think like that's the thing that sets it over the top. Like no matter what you think, like that should let you know that you've created a cultural a phraseology that didn't exist before. That's powerful stuff. But people can make that, because at some point, and we could talk, and we'll get to this. At some point, it's subjective. It's who you like, and you're gonna mentally find a way to say this person, my person was better than y'all person. And so at some point, if it's very close or if there's some, gray area, then it's just subjectivity. And then it's like, okay, it's like anything else, like top 5 dead or alive. There's no right answer. There's no wrong answer. It's just it's what you like, who you like, and maybe you prefer LL's, style and his flamboyance and his, a few of his lines that, that stuck with you and spoke to you in a way that Cannabis's, lyrical miracle spiritual type flow didn't. And okay, like I can't say they're wrong. I can just say that subjectively, I think, one way and people think the other. So at some point I think it gets to that. But that's a good battle. I think that's probably what makes it also good, is that it's close. There's back and forth. It wasn't a washout. And that's like a good fight, right? Like series. Knicks just won a really hard fought tooth and nail first series. Like sometimes that's better than the blowouts. I want the blowouts because I want to be able to not have a heart attack every single game. But
their last 3 games have been down to the last.
Every single one. I'm calling my doctor. Like, can I triple my blood pressure medicine for like 2 months? Is that something I can do?
Word.
But I think that's what makes the games, exciting. If it was blowouts, it'd be sitting there just kind of watching. But when it's close and it's subjective, then that's what makes it exciting.
To take it off with hip hop really quickly. Yeah. Just a little fun fact.
Please.
There in other music genres, people do battle on records. So,
right.
Just a little fun fact for everybody.
Yeah.
We know the record Sweet Home Alabama.
Sure.
That's a battle record.
I did not know that.
You didn't know that?
Nah.
So, okay. All right, so there's a song by Neil Young called Southern Girl or Southern Man. Southern Man. Southern Man. And in it, he's like chastising southern states about slavery and about segregation, and he's like being very direct.
Okay.
Very direct, and he even like shouts out Alabama, and he's telling them that they should be ashamed that they support slavery, and the whole it's called Southern Man by Neil Young. Check it out.
Okay. All right.
So in Sweet Home Alabama, I should actually Google the vocal. They actually shout him out. Something like Mr. Young. They tell him like, yo, to mind his business. Yo, like they shout out Neil Young and they'll tell him like, mind his business, and they're telling, they're just like dissing him.
Right.
And they're like doubling down, justifying
their
being
heritage and the whole argument that
right.
Right,
the entire like flag and all that.
Yeah. That's interesting. I did not know that.
Sweet Home Alabama is kind of record that black folk. Yeah, I said it. That black folk really should not be really partying to. Yeah, I said it. I said it. Let me put the camera on myself.
One time for
As
you.
a DJ, I do play it, but Sweet Home Alabama. Hey, listen, guys. I want you guys to go on Google when you finish watching this.
Yeah.
Neil Young, Southern Man, and read the lyrics on it, and then go and Google the lyrics to Sweet Home Alabama. That is a battle record. It's a diss record right in response to Southern Man by Neil Young.
That's brilliant.
And they're like doubling down. Like, hey, man, yeah, this is how we get down in the South.
I'm sure it's not the only example of other genres. I'm sure it was done in the blues because, there's some people that, jazz. I know there was some jazz bops that were like, like maybe even without words, but they battling musically.
Right.
I'm sure of it. That's
the thing that made this different. They shouted each other out.
That's crazy. That's hip hop.
That's
like
my point, right? That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Yep. In the song, in the record, probably when you're talking, I'm gonna ask you a question. You're probably gonna go for a while. I'm gonna probably get the lyrics and read them when I come back.
Nah, I believe it. I think that's
very.
I
want to share my audience. It's very, very, very direct, and it's a battle record. Those records are battle records.
That's brilliant.
So that being said,
yeah,
where are we today with this? What is your take? And the reason I want to get your take on this specifically is because I watch you, and you've been taking hip hop from more like an academia level, more so. I see you talk to professors, people that are in colleges, people that deal with academics. And I mean, one time you spoke to me and you said to me, "Hey D, you should go and check into teaching inside, one of these uh facilities, universities or whatever. You like, they have DJ courses and blah blah blah." So I know academics and hip hop is
Mhm.
something that's dear to your heart.
Mhm.
Number one, before I get into that, why? What got you into the academics of hip hop?
Um, excuse me. I mean, the quick story is that for a while, I got into. I've always been, as you know, I've always been a hip hop head DJ or MC for a while. I had a studio, I DJed for a while, but I got into journalism as a job. I kind of stumbled into it. My dad was a college professor, so I always had kind of a, you know my dad. Um, so I always had this like attachment to academics, but I think also like a rebellion against it. You know what I mean? Like I didn't feel like that was my place to be because I was doing this music and I was doing this culture stuff. And I was like, I'm going to be an artist, Dad. And he's like, you're going to get a job if you're not going to go to college. I'm like, no, I'm just going to be famous. He's like, yeah, all right, whatever. But eventually I ended up working in journalism. I covered, and then I broke off and started my own thing in New York for a while called Birthplace Magazine. And I was covering New York hip hop. I thought it was great because there wasn't a lot of people covering the hip hop in our local kind of tri-state area. Just they weren't doing it. The mainstream hip hop publications were focused on other parts of the country. New York hip hop was dead, and I'm like, nah, there's a lot of stuff going on. So I started covering it. The artist, the independent scene, and I did that for like 10 years actually. And then, but along the way, I started finding people that were using hip hop in these really sort of unexpected ways or innovative ways, and I started finding like teaching artists that were like they were rapping at the club, they were rapping on stage during the freestyle battles, and we get to talk, and I'm like, yeah, what do you do? And he's like, I teach high school. And I'm like, really? And he's like, yeah, well, I go into the juvenile detention centers on the weekends, and I meet with the group, or I'm a school counselor. And I'm like, oh, that's cool. You able to like kind of mold these worlds? And they're like, yeah, I bring hip hop in the classroom. I get a lot of kids to like kind of pay more attention. They're more engaged. I find a way to kind of common ground them and meet them halfway and kind of, okay, this is what I know about hip hop. This is what you know about hip hop. It gives us a rapport. And I found that to be really fascinating. I found that not a lot of people were talking about that sort of angle for hip hop. I found that it could be very valuable. It could help save lives, like literally. It could help balance some of the racial disparities in the education system. All these like wonderful, great things through the music and culture that we love that I hadn't heard about. I didn't really know about this, and I talked to people and they're like, really, I don't know this either. So I just decided I would take it upon myself to study those folks, research them, bring them out, talk to them. Like you say, I interview them, or I kind of study the ideas that they're all advocating for. So I wouldn't say I'm an academic, but I definitely have sort of dabbled in that world where I have one foot in, the culture. I have one foot in journalism. I have 3 feet. I have one foot in the culture, one foot in journalism, and one foot in those space, not just academia, but in traditional spaces that have traditionally not been very friendly or welcoming to, honestly, to black and brown folk, to minorities, to these communities have been underserved and under-resourced and underloved, but they're finding a way to bridge all these things together. And I'm right in the middle of that mix, and I find it fascinating. I just feel like that's a place where my abilities or my knowledge or my platforms or the things I've learned how to do can help tell those stories. So that's how I got into it.
Right.
And so it's developed. Now sometimes I lecture at colleges myself, which is crazy.
So dope, Manny.
But that's how I got into it.
Dope.
Just found dope people, and I'm like, yo,
so dope.
Like someone need to talk about y'all because they do the work, but they don't get the chance to kind of like some of them, like they get to be at conferences or whatever, but no one's talking about them. Like you don't hear the people I talk about doing this like really cool, interesting stuff in hip hop.
Right.
Not for nothing anywhere else.
Right.
And so that's became my lane. So.
Right. So let's get into this battle, Manny, man.
Yeah, man.
Oh boy, I don't even know where to start. Because, okay, so if you even go and look back at, if anyone would pay attention to even my timeline on my Facebook, there was a time I think I wrote something like, hey, yo, light-skinned dudes are back. You know what I'm saying, Manny?
Funny.
Because Drake dropped his first one.
Mm.
What was his first one called?
I don't know where he came. I remember Kendrick coming back with, the big three lines. And
Not
I don't
right.
know I can't remember what
Okay.
prompted it before that. But
Okay. So
right,
Kendrick, remember he was on he did just a verse. His first
right.
shot, right, was just a verse on a guest record. And then Drake came back with his diss record. At that time, I had Drake up like one zip, because I considered that round one
Hmm.
for me.
Hmm.
And then when Kendrick came with pretty much two records back to back, after that, it was, for me, his second record was cool, but the Grams is really
Mm.
where I'm at right now, Manny.
Mm.
The Grams, Meet the Grams is where I am right now. Now, I know Drake just last night or the other day, he put out another record saying,
Right.
hey, look, you a sucker because
Yeah.
you fed into all that stupid gossip and all those plants that I laid and you ate it up and like a little sucker,
Yep.
which
So he
real
says.
talk, Manny,
Hmm.
that is a sucker move. Like, as a dude, as a man, as a
Hmm.
guy, we got our shit with us. And if somebody's coming to you, feeding you some gossip about he say, she say, whatever, that really don't got nothing to do with us, fam. Real talk. That don't got nothing to do with us. Nothing. Kendrick really did feel as though
It's interesting.
that he was bringing that to the
Right.
table. But for me, it don't matter. Because when I watch Star Wars, I don't care if Darth Vader is real. I don't think he's real. When I watch
Mm.
Spider-Man, everyone that watches any Marvel movie,
Okay.
any DC movie, pick one.
Mhm.
Pick one.
Right.
You love them, don't you?
Right.
Do you think they're real? Do you try to fact check a Marvel movie?
Right.
The multi-universe is going on, and are you trying to fact check that, Manny?
I'm not. There are some who probably are, who definitely are, but I'm not. Yeah. It's not canon. Like, okay, whatever. Like,
Right. So that being said, I
Yeah.
really want to get into my opinion about even like the Grams, because I wrote a post on my page, and I wrote I think the Grams is like really next to genius level as far as penmanship,
Right.
thought. The Grams is next to, if you were to watch some of these newer movies where this is connected to that, and you also
Mm.
have to go and watch the Easter eggs to figure out what's going on in the Scarlet Witch, movie, or X-Men's going on right now. You got to go and watch the Easter eggs to see from the beginning of the intro all the way to the very end. There's just so much that you miss. Man, that's what's going on in this battle between both of these guys, right? Like, even
Yeah.
for us old heads, we have to watch the Easter eggs to explain what's going on. I'm
Yeah, I
sure
don't know all the
you've watched a
references.
few of them, right?
You gotta, yeah, I don't know all the references. Like, you gotta really be, like kind of into like even when Kendrick dropped 616 in LA, and there was like 5 different meanings, like why he could have chosen 616. Like, it's Father's Day in Canada, it's the angel number, there's a Bible verse,
Tupac,
like,
something with Tupac. I saw one
yeah,
of
that's
them.
right. That's right. Yeah, it was I don't want to say his birthday, but it was like a date that. Yeah, I'm like, yo, if that's the case, like sometimes people find things that don't exist. Like, if you have a hammer, everything looks
Like,
like a
if
nail.
all those lined up,
If
this guy's
man, then
genius.
that's brilliant stuff. That's brilliant. That's but that's to be expected. It's Kendrick fucking Lamar. He's a Pulitzer Prize winner.
That's
Like,
so next
his
level.
pen game is nuts. The question's gonna be, and again, I'm really, I really. Well, I'll let you keep going. I don't want to, interject yet.
Okay,
But I'm
Manny, I'll keep going.
Please do. Yeah.
So you just said that's Kendrick. His pen game is nuts.
Yeah.
For me, his pen game wasn't nuts, and I know I'm gonna get. Yo, look at your face!
I'm just saying. I'm
Yo,
waiting.
bro, listen, Manny. For me, look. Let me put the camera on myself.
Okay.
All right. So Kendrick Lamar came out the box really, 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 really hot. Drake came out the box really, 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 really hot. So I jumped on the really, 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 really hot momentum. Drake proved out to be really, really hot to me. I like his records. I
Right.
also like his pen game.
Sure.
I started looking for really, 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 really hot for Kendrick. I didn't find that. I didn't find that, but I did find art. Art. Drake is also art, and I know people don't consider that art because it's popular, or whatever. But I found art with Kendrick. I enjoyed Drake more. Going into this battle, Manny,
Mm,
I felt as though that Drake did have the upper hand. I did. But this dude, man, this guy Kendrick Lamar, man, with this, Meet the Grams, I mean, the writing in it. Listen, man, he wrote a letter to 5 different human beings.
right.
I don't care if the daughter's, fictitious or whatever.
Sure.
He wrote a letter to his mom, his
Mm-hmm.
father, fictitious daughter, son,
Son.
and
Yeah.
then Aubrey.
Yeah.
He wrote, Manny, man,
No,
he
that's
wrote 5 letters, and they all had. If you're MC, they
oh
all
yeah.
had 5 different flows.
Yeah. 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 Absolutely.
Did you pay attention to
They were,
that?
yeah. It was personal. Everything was. I mean, it's all personal, but you know what I'm saying. It was personalized.
They all had
Yeah.
5 different MC flows, and the one to his daughter, which like, he just took it so empathetic. Like
Mm.
Manny, man, this dude, it was empathetic, but still stabbing,
Yep.
but still coddling,
Right.
and you
Right.
felt like he was like apologizing to the girl. Listen, man, again, when we watch a movie, when we watch Taken, you don't like, you don't think it's real or not.
Right.
50 Cent has already admitted, BMF, we're stretching the truth.
Right.
Like, they've already said it. Hey, it was Power. It's
Sure.
not real. Everyone
Fair.
watched Power. There's no ghosts.
Right.
How about
Right.
this
Of
one,
course.
Manny? Are you ready for
Right.
this one? And
Yeah.
I could say it. Everyone that likes Black Panther, there is no Wakanda.
Yo.
So that being said, we
Right.
love, like, it doesn't matter if it was real or not.
That's a good point.
The writing, the artistry in it, for me, that won everything. And I actually, and I'm gonna land my plane now, I wish he had not done the mustard beat. I wish he had not ended thus far with that mustard track. Because it's like, he was getting a lot of criticism from people. You can't play this in a club. I'm not in New York, but I heard a lot of New York talk, that Flex, and I heard like maybe Ebro, I heard a few people comment, you can't play his stuff in the club. There are no club bangers. We're battling. This is an MC battle.
Right.
And what made it even more brilliant was the fact that he did pick these old school soul records that
Yeah.
were just moody and vibe. And
Yeah.
you had to sit there and just listen. I think that was a part of the brilliance. And then you saw Drake even took a page from that. I've landed my plane, Manny.
Yeah.
Your thoughts?
I mean, I agree with a lot of that. I don't know where I would disagree at all, to be honest. Again, subjectivity, but I think that Meet the Grams was a powerful movement in. Now, listen, I think Drake's response, which was like, I've heard some. I spent a lot of time taking in what other people have said and what other people have thought, and I'm parsing sort of all of this. How like Drake's records were better mixed and mastered, and that Kendrick's were a little bit more like rough and and some people like that, some people don't like that. Okay, it's interesting. That Kendrick, but here's you say that the cleverness, the thoughtfulness behind the things where Kendrick samples a song. I think it was the Al Green, samples a song that Drake's uncle apparently was a session musician on,
And
like. I think that to delve into that kind of, and I think this all takes a page from the battle rap scene, right? This is where we used to have battle rap, but now there's battle rap. You feel me? And so in battle rap, if you follow that scene at all, there's always this deep dive into someone's personal history. When you look at the Loaded Luxes and the, and Charlie Clips and Soul Khan and these folks. who go in and find out like who your family is, who your baby mama is, who your hidden baby mama is, where you grew up. Are you really what you say you are? What grades you got in school? Were you, like all of this background information to attempt to discredit your persona, right? The real fake thing that you just talked about. Like, we know there's no Wakanda, but if you claiming you from Wakanda, I'm gonna prove that you're not from Wakanda. You know what I mean? Like that's something that's part of the battle rap scene. And I think
of course.
And both of these guys are fans of the battle rap scene. I mean, there's actually been some murmuring, and I haven't researched it all, but there's been some murmuring that Kendrick may have lifted a couple of lines or some concepts from some of the battle rappers. There's some problematic accusations there in the artistry that we say, he put together great art. And then there's the whole, like, the idea that Kendrick represents hip hop, the underground or the more lyrical, traditionalist view, where Drake represents the commercial side of it. That's an interesting angle, although I don't buy it totally, because Kendrick's still a major label artist. He's still a, millionaire. He's still, so I don't know that. I think we put a lot on Kendrick that maybe, like, heavy is the head that wears the crown that we bestow on him, as he's like some sort of savior and some sort of, black power advocate. And sometimes he's like, I don't really want to be all that, but okay. So we say he's the purist traditionalist versus the terrible corporate. But that's if you think there's something terrible about the corporate side of hip hop. Of course there is, but it also exists. So doesn't need to not exist. So there's a whole lot of angles to the whole thing. If you're asking me, like, do I find what you found, like, art? And of course, that's Kendrick's style. He's going to be poetic. Matter of fact, I would call it more poetic. Drake will just drop bars, and they're different styles. It's not just punchline after punchline after punchline, which was more like the LL Cannabis days, right? That was a really punchline heavy thing. The Nas Jay-Z was a little bit more of the, I'm gonna hit you where it hurts because I'm gonna talk about your family. I'm gonna bring it. And the whole, I left condoms on your baby seat. And then Jay-Z's mother apparently told Jay-Z, you should apologize because that was out of pocket.
Disrespectful.
Right. Okay, cool. If his moms didn't say, I don't know if he ever would have done it. But of course, now we're at that point where we're talking about, oh, you're a domestic abuser. Oh, you're a pedophile. That's where it gets weird into kind of a new territory where we talked very, very early. You said, where are the lines? It's very personal. Other people are getting dragged into it. His Kendrick Lamar's fiance has been now accused of cheating on him and having a baby by his manager because of, Drake lines. This is getting, really, really personal. And I don't know that it's a good or bad thing, but it is a thing. And so I thought that the battle was pretty evenly matched. I thought, like, not for nothing, with Rick Ross throwing shade from over here, J. Cole kind of starting and then stopping, that Drake getting hit from multi fronts and still and been called a pedophile and been called out on all these things. And he's a problematic dude, I think, in some ways, but in some ways it's all embellishment. Like you say, it's all like fake kind of, that he's still standing with probably one of the best lyricists and really an artful battler, went at him head on. I don't know, man. It feels like one of them Knicks Pacers games. You know what I mean? Like, it feels like it's a pretty even battle. But the next question, which we'll probably get to, I guess, would be, is this harming the culture? Is it good for the culture?
Your answer is?
I'm always nuanced, man. I'm always in the middle. I think that if it's all you look at, I had this really long, this is a whole tirade that I won't go into, but it's a whole side thing. And we talked about this last time. Everything that hip hop glitters is not hip hop gold, right? So a battle could be great for the idea that hip hop is still competitive. People say, oh, remember what happened with Tupac and Biggie, but that's not what battles end in. Like, battles could absolutely, and have multiple times, even in other genres and even in hip hop, ended in peace sometimes, or mutual respect. I know that we said Karis once said Roxanne Shante is only good for steady effing all them years ago. And Roxanne Shante has said, I'm pretty sure this is true, that she's like, I don't want him to ever apologize for that line. That was a battle. We were going at it, and that he disrespected the hell out of me, but I don't want him to apologize for that line. That was a battle. That's what we're doing, and that's okay. All's fair in love and battle. But if you look at if your lens into hip hop is only Drake, Kendrick Lamar, and you start hearing the salaciousness and you start hearing the all this deep personal stuff come out, and you feel like that's really not in the spirit of hip hop. And that's the only, because what we're doing is we're getting people that only see hip hop through these sensationalized lenses. And the result is that you think that's all hip hop is about. Then no, it's not good for the culture. But that's not necessarily the battle's fault. It's not hip hop's fault. It's the way people take a thing that they see and attach all of hip hop music and culture to it and say, well, this is hip hop now. This, there are people that are saying we have all these problems in the world and we're focused on these guys, like you say, schoolyard gossip rappers. And I'm like, you can do both. But that's the mentality of it, is that this is hip hop now. And you know me, there's so much more going on. So that harms the culture in that it takes all the oxygen out of the room.
Was Drake's what's it called, Numbers, whatever, his second response to or third response to Kendrick after the Meet the Grams, or no, after the what's the Meet the Mustard record?
Right.
Was his response enough?
This is where he's like basically saying, you called me a pedophile and I'm not.
Yes.
and I'm doubling down on that you hit your wife and, or your fiance. Right. And
was that enough?
I mean, I've heard people say, again, this is subjective. So, I mean, do I think it was enough? I think it was enough to not, there hasn't been a response. So it was enough to do something, to stop something. Like, we haven't heard anything yet. So is it enough to kind of say, you don't got this? I'm not saying he's saying I got this, but this is where you fell for the fake okey doke. I'm not, I'm brushing this off my shoulder, and, that's that.
Was it enough to lean the battle towards his favor? Does he now? Does he get a score? Did he score for that? Did he win that round?
I don't. My gut tells me this is such a cop out, but in boxing there are rounds that are draws. I feel like it didn't do enough to sway it back enough, but it may have been enough to say, like, all right, like, he's not down for the count. And there are people, and again, I'm just listening to a lot of people's feedback, and there's a point to be made here. So I'll take it and maybe kind of mull it over, that just refuting all the stuff that someone just said at you without bringing another artillery attack is kind of not, like, very impressive. You feel me?
Right.
Like, he's saying he's disputing all the particulars instead of just mass dismissing it and coming back with a bunch more heavy bars and heavy more, he's kind of doubling down on the same things he said in the last song. So I would say no, but again, to think that, and I do think that Kendrick is just, I think that there's so much in there. There's so much depth and skill and artistry and bars and musical, flips and that he really was I think he overpowered Drake in the battle, but yet Drake didn't necessarily fade out, and he came back with some zingers himself. I want to say that it's really hard to call, like, who's winning this one. I think Kendrick is the better lyricist, MC, rapper, et cetera, et cetera. Drake makes good songs, but he also knows how to just appeal to that common denominator that is in all of us.
So let's do this.
It's hard. This is a point where it gets subjective. It's who you like better. That might be the end of it.
Okay. So some of the reasons why I think a lot of us, I'll speak for myself, and you agreed with me with a lot of things that I said. Mm-hmm. So let's take Beat the Grams and say, as we call that, that was the ether, right?
I think that was a heavy artillery. Yeah, I think that was a banger. I think that was like, whoa.
And as you and I agreed, it doesn't matter what's right or wrong, what's true or false in it. We're talking about just the art of it, right?
Sure.
Okay, so I mentioned style. So there's 5 different letters, and he has 5 different styles on it. Mm-hmm. MC styles. Mm-hmm. So if I'm rapping like da 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 da, that's one style. My next style is da 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 da. That's letter 2. Like you give
Yeah.
he did that 5. He did 5 different MC styles in there.
Yep. Yep.
So
And he
another
also
thing,
did several on the very first one where he starts off slow and poetic, and you're like, what's he gonna do? A 10-minute? He's gonna do a 6-minute slow jam, and then all of a sudden it flips, and then he flips it again. Like this is a guy who has mastered multiple cadences and flows. Absolutely.
So being that we got 5 different letters, we also have 5 different verses. Okay, this is not a 16 for 16 for 6. There's
Right.
5
It's not meant for the
different
club, Flex.
long.
It's not meant
verses.
for the club, right?
We also, as you said, that it has to be decoded. Like, we have to watch people break down what this means because it was connected to that television show. And I think Drake even said that to him. He said, yo, man, you better have like double and triple entendres. And guess what? He came with them.
Yep.
So I look at a lot of these things with Meet the Grams. Now let's go to the Response record when he was, like you said, he was, just pretty much justifying certain things.
Right.
It's talking to one thing. It's a defense record.
Right.
It's
Yeah.
my back is it's hey, I'm being defensive instead of offensive.
Right
now.
That's what I heard, and I agree. I sort of like I could lean into that.
Definitely a defensive record.
Yep.
And he did not come after he gave all that. Now that I got that out the way, now let me cook you. He didn't do that. It was just, hey, you bit into the bait, ha 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 ha. Yo, look, I'm
Got
too
him.
famous to be a child molester. If I was me, Drake, if I was a child molester, I'd be in jail. I'm so famous.
I mean, that's,
okay,
that,
cool,
I don't
got it.
Get that line, but yeah.
I mean, R. Kelly went for a long time.
So, well, it's true, but not forever. You know what I mean?
But he did long time.
Right, but it's also kind of, it could be very self-incriminating, like
Weinstein. Manny, there's so many cases that
sure. And then we don't know about. We don't know who's not because that's the whole point. They're famous. We wouldn't know.
Yeah, there's so many points that disqualify him for saying that.
It was weird. It could go either way, but I get it. But it's fine.
Right.
It was yeah.
So anyway, look, the president said what he said. The ex-president, dude,
right.
And he's on tape saying it. You know what I'm saying, Manny?
I know.
So anyway,
Yes.
Kendrick came with just so much on that other one. It was like he wrote, Manny, it was like he wrote like a mini series. Like, remember when R. Kelly, speaking of him, when he did the closet thing?
Oh God, trapped in a closet. Which was the thing
Bizarre.
about R. Kelly, which is so hard to reconcile, is that
Bizarre.
he really was a genius. I mean, I'm not gonna lie.
But that's the thing.
100%.
That's the thing.
Yeah.
Right.
There was a lot in there. There was a lot of creativity in there. Kendrick's a more creative MC, like by far. Like it's not even a.
And I'll land my plane with this one. He played on human beings' heartstrings, bro. The empathy that he came with in that record.
Yeah.
Like, he was apologizing to his mom for this guy being a pill popper. He was like, he said, Miss Grant, I think you should sit down. So I can I got to talk to you about your son.
Yeah.
Yeah,
conceptually, man, it's brilliant.
Yo, man.
It's brilliant.
He was like, I'm not going to just get on some MC shit and just shit on this dude. And nah, I'm going to play to the heartstrings of humans. And when he spoke to his children, he was like, yo, look, man, I apologize. He was like, he came with so much empathy, like that type of thought to put into war. Manny, that type of thought to put into war.
Good point.
Is next level.
It's the art of war. The art of war type ish.
Shit, man.
Yeah. No.
And for me, the comeback wasn't that thought out.
Right.
And executed.
Right.
Because you could think something out,
Oh, I think his first joint was fire. I think the first, when he came back, but then immediately when the grams dropped, it was like, oh damn, like the 1-2 punch, the immediate rebuttal, and oh man, and I'm like, dang. And then you're right, and like I said, and I agree 100%. And when I heard it, I was like, yeah, that's the problem with it. I didn't think of it myself. I heard somebody say it, and I was like, yeah, that defensive nature of it. It's almost like you're when you try not to act scared, when you try not to act like you just got your ass beat, you know what I mean? And you like,
Yeah.
no, I'm good. I'm good, but you're not good. That's kind of what it
Yeah.
felt like.
Yeah.
And
See, and
I could see where Kendrick like started off in a lane where a lot of people who wanted to see that, like you said, that MC battle rap. Yeah. And he was like, nah, man, I do what I do, and this is what I do. And then we didn't quite, I don't think collectively people were just like blown away until, like you say, that
Meet the Rams.
that dissection of his familial.
Whew.
I thought it was great, but I'd already thought that what Kendrick was doing was really good, and just I thought the pen game was like tight. It just wasn't our typical. I knew this was going to be the criticism by the older heads that just know bar for bar. We go bars, you go bars, and I go bars and you go bars. And they're gonna be like, what is this? Why is Kendrick getting all deep and philosophical and you know what I mean? And
I get it
sounding
now.
different. And this is again it's stuff that you had to listen to more than once. And you're right, like putting it on music that you had to you wouldn't get distracted by the music. Like that people do songs like that on purpose where they say, listen, we're not gonna overpower the words of the music because I need you to hear what I'm saying. And I thought some of the stuff he was saying early on was just like, whoa. And then, calling him out. I think some of the ancillary stuff,
All the BBL shit is corny. That's corny to me. That's
yeah,
corny.
yeah,
All that
yeah.
bullshit is whack. It's like
Sure.
whatever.
I mean, and if he's on Ozempic, like, okay, and like,
I mean, even if he is, be dope about it. Like, no one has said a dope BBL,
Right,
something that's dope.
right.
Rick Ross is corny. Like,
I know.
I've heard people say, like, yo, he's never, ever, like, ever.
Rick Ross? Nah.
Makes dope records.
He makes dope records. 100%. Great music, great ear for music.
Dope records. Oh, my gosh.
I mean, come on. But yeah, he's not, I'm not blown away by his lyrical, acumen. But okay, like I said, I'm kind of in the same boat with you on it. I thought Drake's first response was, but I knew he was gonna do that. Like, don't forget, this man went at like Pusha T and Meek. Like, he know how to spit. He know how to spit battles. He knows how to spit. This was the thing with Mos Def that I had a problem with. Like, with Mos Def, not it's like implying that Drake isn't like hip hop because he make all these pop records. I mean, look, he's not necessarily the guy we would look to as the poster child for hip hop authenticity. I get it. Justin Hunt, he's known as the company man. He's a journalist, and he does like a YouTube. I don't know if you know who he is. One time we were talking, and he told me, he said, brilliant. He said something so brilliant. He was like, remember Drake was an actor, and he acted in his early life, and that somehow in life he figured out how to act like the perfect rapper.
That's funny.
And I'm like, oh man, that's it. So
That's funny.
Right? I'm like, yo, he really pegged that because it's like, okay, he figured out how to be a great rap, and he figured it out, man. There's no denying Drake's influence and his prowess, and he makes good records. And I have no hate. I don't dislike him. I don't despise him.
Likewise.
Like I said, he may not be the poster child for the culture, which is fine because the culture doesn't need, but the culture and the commerce side of hip hop, for now, until we can flip it on its head, have a symbiotic relationship.
Right.
So you need the Drakes to be able to have the Kendricks. Like, it just has to. That's how it exists.
Yes.
You can't have both.
Well, remember,
you can't have just one.
Well, Nas was that. This
is nothing new.
And Jay-Z was the record hit maker.
Right. And LL and Kumo D, it's been since the beginning. You have these different factions, and depending on what your personal preference is probably the side you're gonna lean to in the end.
Bro.
But I like a good fight.
I do too. And Kendrick, man, man, even when he and Meet the Grams, he's like, yo, look, man, the only reason I'm doing this is because you brought my family in it. And he said, decent people. Yo, Manny, see the things that there's just certain things that he puts in his raps that it's like, ooh.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, he was like decent people.
Yeah.
And the way he puts it's like, yo, these people are workers, they're 9 to 5ers, they're family people, and you're mentioning people that are civilian. And
Right.
the way he came about it, man, he was like, yo, I'm so pissed. Like, dude, like you should be ashamed of yourself for
Right.
inviting like civilians to a fight, man. Like, and
Yeah.
now I gotta defend my family.
Right. You open the door. You open the door to it. So I don't have to kick in the door waving the 4-4. I'm walking in the door with 5 letters that I'm going to distribute to everybody. No, that was, top tier, but again, if you watch battle rap, the battle rap scene, some of those guys, it's not so structured because, they're more like spoken word, you know how it goes.
No music, right.
But man, when I hear some of the schemes that they call them, like schemes, like where they run down and then they bring it back around with these metaphors and man, some of that, I gotta tell you, I love battle rap because some of it's really the most as violent and destructive and as violent as it can be. These are some of the smartest dudes with some of the best literary device, you know what I mean? Like when they teach us in English class, like metaphors and similes and the Shakespearean way, like they be breaking it. That they have so much skill in that type of writing. May not could make a song to go top 40 to save their life. They're smart.
I got to introduce you to my man Nix.
All right.
You know Nix, battle rapper. Remember?
No.
Remember? I be styling on you. What was styling on you?
Yeah.
Remember that? Like
that catchphrase or that.
Right. That I came from a battle rap.
Yeah.
In Hempstead, at the barbershop.
Oh, where? Okay.
You didn't know that?
No.
Oh, we'll talk about that. Like,
all right. That's what's up. Shouts to Hempstead.
That phrase.
Our fierce rivals, Hempstead.
Oh, you mad? Because I be styling on you.
Styling on you. Yeah, you mad? I'm styling on you, of course.
Okay. So.
That's funny.
So that was a battle in Hempstead. And when Nick said that, a fight broke out and then a gun came out. Mm-hmm. So that's why that line was so big. Because I'm styling on you, right?
This wasn't filmed. This was before. It was filmed.
Yes.
I've seen this. Now
of course you have.
Now it's ringing the bell.
Yes. Yeah. I'm saying like you like battle rap and you do pot. Like I think I'm gonna hook you up.
I remember it. Yeah,
I'm gonna hook you up to that rapper.
Because I'm styling. Oh, you mean? And then and there's like yeah. I mean, look.
I'm gonna hook you up to that rapper.
Things devolve into fisticuffs occasionally. You know,
right.
The math hoffa. You know what I mean? Like that situation. Occasionally. Again, hip hop mirrors life, baby. Hip hop mirrors life. You could be having a great time in a bar 99 times out of 100. And then one day there's going to be some stuff and you could be a decent person and it might happen. So that's, again, the danger in all of this is that we look at the competitive nature of hip hop and we didn't talk about it yet, but we talked about it before the show, that now there's been a shooting.
Right.
Now there's been somebody in Drake's circle, his security guard or whatever, outside of his home that was, doxed, they would say, but I'm sure Kendrick didn't do anything that I'm sure anyone could have found out. Just go on, just Google it. I'm sure it's fine. But, and that's troubling. True, because indeed. Even if it's not attached to the battle, and it could just be some local beef. Like I said, you can go to a bar, 99 times out of 100. One day you're gonna pop off with somebody. It's gonna be attached to the battle.
Right.
That's where we continually get in trouble. Like people will always say, oh, Pac and Biggie, but you'll forget like Nas and Jay battled just as hard and are now both doing quite well. Thank you. You know what I mean?
Absolutely, they're doing very, very. There's many. Well. Again, 50 Cent and Fat Joe.
These are people that exist.
Ja Rule is still doing well.
Didn't kill each other, and again, LL and Cam, all the ones that people know, all the smaller ones, even Karis One and dude from PM Dawn, like they didn't like each other, but they didn't kill each other. Like, you know what I mean? Like
right. Prince B.
So, yeah, that's it. Yeah, who did die recently, I believe, right?
A few years back.
Yeah. So, rest in peace.
Yeah, I was supposed to go to his funeral. Shout out to Mary. Mary, love you. I know his entire family, children, wife.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, and
Apparently a good dude, as far as I know. Like, but
my guy.
infamous for a
I
situation.
was there.
Oh, really? I heard it didn't go down like exactly like the folklore.
I was 100%. I jumped on stage, as in like, no, I wasn't just there in the building,
Right. Okay.
Manny.
You were part of the.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I listen. No, you see where I'm sitting right here.
Yeah.
Karis One and
Yeah.
his crew were over there in the corner. Me, my man Malcolm, was sitting on the stage. I remember Tahim, leaders of New School, and those guys performed. Like we were sitting on the stage because those are my boys. Like, and
Sure.
I was sitting on stage, and I remember PM Dawn. They performed. They were performing, and I remember like seeing Tretch, Queen Latifah, and Chris, and looked like a bunch of football men. They looked like a football team, Manny. They
Yeah.
were in the corner,
Yeah.
and I remember who was in there with them. And me and Mal sitting on the stage, and all of a sudden I see Chris leading the pack, and he's right behind us. He runs on stage with his football team, and and they did what they did.
That's
And
hilarious.
me and Malcolm just got so caught up in the action. Yo, Manny, we jumped on stage with Karis One, bro.
Bro.
Yo, in the middle of all that
out of control.
activity. Yo,
I
and
can
when
understand.
he had did like the dawn is over, and he did I'm still number one. I'm on stage with him, jumping, go, 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 go,
Yeah.
go. I'm on stage. If there's any footage, you will see my little young ass there.
That's
me and
wild.
Mal with Karis One.
Energy must have been crazy. Anytime
Well, you know that was a
Karis hits.
Westbury party. You didn't
No.
know that?
No, I didn't know that.
Okay. So before I let you go, let me put you on really quickly.
Where was this at? So refresh my memory. I don't remember
I think it
where.
was at Sound Factor. I feel as though it was at Sound
Okay,
Factor.
that sounds right.
So, all right, T Money,
Yep.
Westbury,
Sure.
Ozzy.
Yep.
Remember Tall Ozzy, Westbury?
Yep.
God rest his soul.
OGs.
So T Money was having a birthday party, and I was being managed at the time by, remember Nicole Thompson, her brother
Yes.
Rohan?
Yes.
I was being managed by Rohan. Me and Chauncey and a bunch was being managed by Rohan and Ozzy.
Okay.
And Rohan had an organization called Wild Child Entertainment. Now it's him and Ozzy's like little company and whatnot.
Got it.
And T Money, was having a birthday party, and remember T Money at that time was on MTV Rap, so they had they were freaking
Oh,
the
yeah,
nucleus
right.
of hip hop at the time.
Sure. Yep.
So everyone came out to that party, leaders, everyone. A lot of people performed that night at the party. I do remember Tretch and them. I remember Naughty by Nature rocked that night. Again, all of Westbury was in the house that night. I remember everything about that party, man.
That's dope.
I remember everything. Yo, bro, when that happened, I jumped on stage with Karis One and crew. I jumped on stage, and I've seen people, say, a lot of things. I've even seen Kenny Parker speak about this on his podcast.
I've seen it recently. Yeah.
He was accurate, except for one part. I would call Kenny Parker out on. He said after it happened, he said there was pandemonium in this place and there were fights everywhere.
Right.
That part is the now cipher part about it. That's the part that's not true. Everything up until then, when he was like the Clark Kent, I remember Karis One pointing to he was like, Kenny Parker, calm down. Yo, man, it was like,
Right.
go, go. I mean, and look, that's all we did was go. I don't even think he even rapped. He may have said like one bar. All we were doing was just going, go, 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 go.
Yeah.
And then he did,
It was a takeover.
right, and he did The Bridge is Over, but he called it The Dawn is Over. And then they left. and they went out the right side of the door. And I remember I went to Chauncey and Malcolm and Sam Pryor, and I was, yo, you saw that? Yo, you saw that? And I remember Chris and them, I remember they were like celebrating. Like, you could see them through the glass wall. They were like, you could see them
Right.
like walking down the block, like celebrating. Everything Kenny Parker said is accurate, except for when he said there was pandemonium and fights broke out afterwards. I don't think he would know that because he left with them. I stayed.
Got it.
I don't think he would know that.
Got it.
Fights did not break out. Pandemonium did not break out. But, I mean, the party
But
continued.
it was energy. It was definitely a wild scene.
Yes.
Yeah,
Fights did not
fair
break
enough.
out. But, yeah, I was there at that, man.
Well, I'm glad you dispelled that. See, these are the little things, the little myths in hip hop folklore.
Yeah.
That need to be like dispelled. Like I said, when it turns out, if that's the case, that whatever happened outside of Drake's house didn't have nothing to do with no battle.
Right.
If it didn't, because if it did, then that would actually be worse. And then I couldn't be like sitting back and justify, well, things happen. No, like but you know what? Also, as I land my plane on that note, we live in a time where people are really amplified. Right. And they're really activated. Like, we just had a dude like a few days ago, for whatever reason, crash his car into the White House and die. You know what I mean? Like, there's people out there that are doing that sort of thing. And so I don't know that hip hop and battling, and like, I'm not talking about drill music. I'm not talking about where like you mentioning people by name and you're the focus of you making this song is to call somebody out because you are planning to kill them. Like, there's a different level of rap and what's happening in that scene. That's not what we're talking about when we talk about the competitive nature, the artistry, I am the better MC. I'm going to wrap circles around you. And if you bring personal stuff into it, I'm going to bring personal stuff into it in a way that isn't, I'm going to kill you. Although Kendrick Lamar did say, I want you dead. He didn't exactly say I was going to kill him. I'm going to kill you. So so even it got like to that level where I'm like, okay, Kendrick, bring it down a notch. We don't want that to be, can this just be a battle about who's nicer with words over beats? Like, that's, at the end of the day, that's kind of what we want. There are going to be people, like, if somebody took it upon themselves that looked at the thing and said, this is where Drake lives, I'm riding for Kendrick, I'm down with with his set or whatever, and I'm going to go up into wherever Drake's house is in Toronto, and I'm going to blast up his spot. Like, that cannot be hip hop's fault, because somebody's going to find, look, somebody's trying to shoot President Reagan back in the whatever 80s because they wanted the actress Jodie Foster to notice them. Like, people have issues and mental problems, and we have a big problem in this country with people being too activated, whether it's political violence, or deciding that you're going to take the flag of Kendrick Lamar and roll up on Drake on his behalf. That's a bigger problem. That's, shouts to Dead Prez, that's bigger than hip hop. And so I want to make sure that we don't, and here it is, but it's something that hip hop can solve.
That's one of your little things.
Hip hop can save America.
That's right.
And part of that is, again, we have ways to solve these problems, not that are coming to light because of hip hop. We have ways to solve them through hip hop. And so I just want to make sure that every chance we get, we could, let people realize that your perception of hip hop can't be shaped by what makes the news. I mean, they got Drake and Kendrick on like Good Morning America. They talking about it. It's on Saturday Night Live. They making fun of it.
It's on everything. Yeah.
It's on everything. Man, if I could get some of the people that I talk to on Good Morning America to talk about all the good stuff we do in hip hop, to save lives and not just battle rap. Now, again, I don't have anything wrong with the battle. I'm okay with it. I'm good with battles. I don't want to see them get no place off of the music. And it shouldn't be that way. It got a little personal this time. I'm starting to be like, oh, maybe we went a little too far,
right.
But I'm not against the concept of it. I'm against the concept of this is what you think hip hop is, and you stop and you draw the line, you put a box around it, and that's it. And hip hop heads do it themselves. They'd be like, this back in my day. Look, man, all that stuff is still happening. We're saving lives with hip hop. We're doing great things with hip hop. The battles is one part of it. And if we can get as much attention, if we get a fraction of the attention that we're giving this battle on some of the other things happening that hip hop is a part of,
right,
we'd be in good shape. So that's all. I just want people to. That's the work, but that's what I'm trying to do. You know the work I do to try to make people see that. So,
well, Manny,
but I enjoy the battle at the same time.
I enjoy the battle as well, and I think I'm gonna call you back in, man, another time when we see where this takes us. Because for me, it's done. But let's see what where it lands.
Yeah.
And let's stay close abreast to it, and let's just continue to monitor it. Because for me, the art of this, I love it.
Yeah, this was, and again, Kendrick gave us that. It wasn't just bars versus bars. It was bars versus concepts and conceptualizations and artistry and poetics and all the things. And so yeah, I'm okay with that, bro. I'm okay with that. It's I think it's an evolution of the subgenre. You know what I mean? It's an evolution of battle rap. Now again, it went really deep and personal, and that's but again, that feeds off of the battle rap situation, and I'm a fan of that. So I can't really be hypocritical and say it shouldn't exist on the mainstream level. No, that's part of it now. You don't want your dirty laundry to be aired, then don't battle somebody.
So
don't call them out.
Battle raps. As I said to you, I'm going to read to you the verse from Southern Man.
I loved it. I love that you taught me this tonight. It's fantastic. It's great to know.
You're going to love this, man.
I'm going to tell this story 1,000 times. This is a great fun fact. I love it.
Neil Young, Southern Man. I'm going to read to you like just like the first verse or so, and we're going to go to Lynyrd Skynyrd as well. So, chorus. Southern Man, better keep your head. Don't forget what your good book said. Southern change gonna come at last.
Ooh.
Now your crosses are burning fast.
Woo!
You get it? Crosses are burning fast.
I like the change gonna come. Shouts to the great Sam Cooke, who I'm wearing on my shirt. That's a little nod.
Verse 1.
Wow.
Listen to this, Manny. I saw cotton and I saw black. Tall white mansions and little shacks. Southern Man, when will you pay them back? Oh my God. I heard screaming and bullwhips cracking. How long? How long? That's first verse, Manny.
Wow, Neil Young was woke as F, man.
Are you ready?
Hell?
Second verse. Lil Belly, your hair is golden brown. I've seen your black man coming around. Swear by God, I'm gonna cut him down. I heard screaming and bullwhips cracking. How long? How long? You know what he's talking about right there, Manny?
Ooh-wee.
White women going and messing with the slaves, and then the slave master killing them. Do you understand what this record, Southern Man by Neil Young, is about? So, I'm gonna go to Lynyrd Skynyrd's response to that, and a lot of people love Sweet Home Alabama.
It's a bop.
Are you ready? Big wheels come turning. We know this. Big wheels come turning. Carry me home to my kin. Singing songs about the Southern land. I miss Alabama once again, and I think it's a sin. I said, well, I heard Mr. Young sing about her. Well, I heard old Neil put her down. Well, I hope Neil Young will remember a Southern man don't need him around anyhow. Sweet Home Alabama, where the skies are so blue. Sweet Home Alabama, Lord, I'm coming home to you. Second verse. In Birmingham, they love the governor. Boom, Now we all did what we could do. Now Watergate does not bother me. Now your conscience bothers you. Tell the truth. Sweet Home. Now we know what Watergate is, Mike. Manny. Did you see that? Watergate does not bother me.
Wow.
Yeah, like they're justifying. Like, yo.
I've never listened to the lyrics of that damn song.
And you dance to that weddings and black people and brown people.
Sure.
And
it's like Sweet Caroline. It's a multicultural bop.
Bro, Sweet Home Alabama is a racist record.
Well, so is the national anthem.
Sweet Home Alabama is a racist record, and they're justifying racism and slavery and all kind of just segregation. I just read just the first 2 verses, and Neil Young was calling them out. He was like talking about, hey, look, man, I hear at nighttime, what you guys are doing to the black skin, and he's calling them out, and they're like, yo, you heard, Manny, they called them out by name.
That's crazy. I would have never known. I don't listen. I mean, we listen to it, but we don't really decipher it.
They called them out
lyrics
by
are
name.
important.
Is that a battle record or not?
Oh, 100%. But
I wonder if Sweet Home Alabama,
100%.
a battle record.
That's right. I wonder if there was a Neil Young revenge. I wonder if he came back after that. Like,
you don't have to. He ethered them. He ethered them. You don't have to. Their record may have been bigger, but the stuff that he was saying in his shit.
It's like we just said. The Meet the Grams, and then Drake's response might have gotten more attention or whatever. Who knows? Because it's Drake. Of course, he's going to just naturally get. Although, if you look at the stream numbers, which I don't believe, but Kendrick's actually right up there with him. But like you said, the substance of the first joint doesn't matter what you came back with. I ethered you in before your response.
Yo, man, Neil Young ethered them, bro.
I did not know. First of all, I don't know that song. I don't know. I know who Neil Young is, but vaguely. But I appreciate. In fact, I appreciate you bringing that up. That's some stuff I love to know.
Maybe talk about it one day or educate someone else on your podcast. 100%. I really want that word to get out.
That's brilliant.
Sweet Home Alabama is a racist Southern record. Right. Period. It's a battle.
Man, that's why we say when we talk about like hip hop, and I said earlier, like hip hop teaches you social emotional learning because you know who to battle and when not to cross the line. What you just demonstrated is that every DJ is a musicologist, an ethnologist, and a sociologist, bro. Like this, we look into these things. We know the backgrounds and the backstories. You're a sociologist, bro, and that was a brilliant. No, it's brilliant, and I love it. I guarantee you, it's gonna be. It's going to be in my book or in a talk because I think that's brilliant.
Well, I know what you do. I know what me giving that is. I know it's going to go far.
I love it.
I know it's going to go far. I know that Southern man and that whole Sweet Home Alabama. It's going to go far.
Yeah,
Manny, bro. Thanks, bro. Always love you, man.
I appreciate you.
Come back again, man, and let's have some more hip hop discussion, brother.
I love it. I love being on this side of the. Pressing the buttons. This is always fun.
right, Chris. You just get to have fun, right? And not do all this other stuff that I'm doing.
All the things you got to do, like worry about everything. I love it. Thank you, my man. Let's hang out soon. Yeah, we're
Indeed, man. Thanks for hanging out with us, everybody, man.